Hi guys, I'm Minabout, and today I'm going to be talking you through how to construct seventh chords. I'm going to be talking you through 5 different types of seventh chords, and I'm going to start with the major seventh. Now, the major seventh chord is constructed using first a major triad. Now, a major triad is where we take the first, the third, and the fifth of a major scale. So, if we do that in C major, that would be taking the C, the E, and the G, and that's our major triad. Now, to make this a major seventh chord, we're now going to take the 7th note of our major scale as well and add that to our chord. So in C major, that is B. Alright, so to make our major 7th chord, all we've done is we've taken our first, our third, our 5th, and our 7th, all from our major scale, and we've ended up with C, E, G, B, and that's our major 7th chord in C major. We're now going to look at our dominant 7th chord. So the dominant 7th chord is also constructed using a major triad. So again, in the key of C, we're going to take our C, our E, and our G. Now, instead of taking the 7th just from the major scale, our B, we're going to flatten that 7th to a B flat. And that is what makes it a dominant 7th chord. So a dominant 7th chord is where you have a major triad and a flattened 7th. Okay, so our dominant 7th chord in the key of C is C, E, G, B flat. We're going to look at our minor 7th chord. So a minor 7th chord is constructed using a minor triad, not a major triad. So to make it a minor triad, we must flatten the 3rd. So that would be C, E flat, G. That's what gives it that minor tonality. Now, a minor 7th is a flattened 7th. Just like the dominant 7th, we're going to use the B flat. So that is what we call a minor 7th chord. So our minor 7th chord is a minor triad, our C, E flat, G, and then a flattened 7th on the top, so a B flat. Okay, and that's our minor 7 in C. We're going to look at a chord that's called the half diminished. Now, half diminished chord is sort of like a minor 7th, but we're going to now flatten the 5 as well. So we're going to make that 5 a diminished 5. So instead of going C, E flat, G, we're going to be going C, E flat, G flat. And then we're going to keep our flattened 7th on the top, so that's going to be B flat. So in this chord, we've taken the 1 from the scale, and then we've flattened the 3, the 5, and the 7 to make a chord called the half diminished. So in the key of C, half diminished is C, E flat, G flat, B flat. The final chord we're going to look at today is the full diminished. So the full diminished chord is where we double flatten the 7. Other than that, it's the exact same as the half diminished. So we're going to have our tonic, our first note of the scale, which is our C. We're going to have a flat 3rd, so that's E flat. We're going to have a flat 5th, which is our G flat. And then we're going to have a double flattened 7. And that is our B double flat. Now you might be thinking, why are we not calling it an A? Because an A and a B double flat are enharmonic equivalents of each other, which means they are the same note if you were to, the same note sonically or the same note on a piano keyboard. Now we don't do that because when we are constructing chords and scales, we must abide first and foremost to the rules of the alphabet. And if I were to put in an A instead of a B double flat, then we would have 2 notes with the tonality A within the scale that I'm taking my notes out of. So that's why we can't use an A, and it has to be a B double flat. But it is the same note sonically. Alright, so just to recap, our full diminished chord was where we had our first, so our C, our flattened 3, so our E flat, our flattened 5, so our G flat, and then a double flattened 7, which was our B double flat. I've talked about all these chords in the key of C, simply because it is the simplest key to explain things in, as C major has no sharps and flats. So it's much easier to see when I'm flattening things than if I were to use something that had lots of sharps or lots of flats in it. So I'm going to put up some examples now of seventh chords in other keys and all these different types of sevenths, so that we looked at the major seventh, we looked at the dominant seventh, we looked at the minor seventh, and we looked at the half diminished and the full diminished chords. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.